Hello, welcome to Lesson Jigsaw. I'm Chris. I should put my name up there, shouldn't I? Hello. This is Lesson Jigsaw. This is the program Have a Tea with Me. Why are we here? We're here to practice English language speaking. So if you would like to practice your English speaking, practice your conversational skills, I'm assuming you're an English language learner. If you would like to practice those, I will put a link in the comments and you can come and chat with me and we can have a conversation talking about whatever you want to talk about. Let's put what message. Let's do to join the conversation. Click this link. Let's do that. Okay. So there we go. And if you, from wherever you are, I understand there's different times of the day. Of course, in different parts of the world. That's always been the case. But if you're in a different part of the world and you're thinking, I would like to participate, but unfortunately the time is not good for me. I can't participate at that time when you're on because I'm working or I'm studying or whatever the case may be. You can send us an email. You see an email rolling across the bottom there, and I'll flash it up here as well. If you send us an email, chatonlessonjigsaw@gmail.com, you can or you send me an email and we can find a time that's better if this is not a good time for you. But in the meantime, we are here to have a chat. So if you would like to come and have a chat, just click on that link that you see there and we can converse. We can converse about whatever you would like to. Cheers. Tea way. The tea today for me is a rose and hibiscus tea, basically, with a whole bunch of other things. Oh, okay, I've just realized so I'm not sure if this is a good thing, aroma of raspberry. And so the aroma is the smell. So that makes me wonder if there's actually raspberries in there, or if it's just something put in there to smell of raspberries. I don't know if that's actually a good thing or not, but certainly it tastes nice and it smells nice. But if it's good for me, I'm not sure. But anyway, a rose red berry type of tea, let's say. I hope you are doing well. It's a beautiful day. I'm not sure where you are, but where I am, it's coming into what do you call that? Spring. That's the one that's coming into spring, and spring is a nice time. Spring is generally a nice time in terms of as seasons go. I think it's. Sometimes summer can be a bit too hot, you know what I mean? Summer can be a bit too hot, but spring is a nice mix, let's say. Not too hot, not too cold. So I find that. What do you find? What is your impression? So today is, I'm not sure whether, here we go. So it is the 17th of February already the 17th of February. There you go. I think the Olympics if you're into the Olympics is almost over. I haven't really been watching too much. I watched a couple of days, I have to say. I watched a couple of days of bits and pieces. But it's maybe because of the time zone. But I haven't been watching too much. I've only been picking up bits and pieces, but I don't know, maybe you're a big Olympics fan. So if you are, tell me what you've been thinking about the Olympics. What's your impression been? Has it been a good Winter Olympics Or do you only follow the Summer Olympics? Perhaps maybe that's the case. I think probably in general the summer would tend to have more followers in general, because you have more people from more countries participating, and with the winter, I think it tends to be generally, I don't know if this is right, tends to be basically European countries. If you spend like all of sort of Europe going into like Russia and like some of the Asian countries, you have like Japan and Korea, and then America, United States of America. They seem to be the main countries. So certainly like the other Pacific countries, countries like Australia, South American and Central American countries, the rest of the Asian, like Southeast Asia, going across into through to India, then over to Africa. A lot of those countries are not really represented too well, I would suspect. Mainly because of the weather situation, I suspect. The climate is obviously different. So if you're in a country like, I don't know, Indonesia perhaps, probably there's not too many opportunities to ski there or do snow activities, but maybe there is, I don't know. But I would imagine something along those lines. Certainly I remember growing up seeing reports in Australia, like when people were practicing for like the bobsled, they would do that in supermarket car parks and that sort of thing to practice those type of activities. And it's hard, I guess. Whereas if you have a culture that's accustomed to snow and doing those sorts of sports, obviously you're generally going to have more people participating. Same with things like football. You know, most countries have a football, as in soccer football culture, whereas other countries just tend to follow other sports. So so in terms of football, maybe they're a bit weaker, but they're stronger in other sports. So that's where when kids are growing up, you know, their attention is focused on other areas, whereas in other countries, because I imagine in a lot of the South American countries, a lot of European countries, maybe in some African countries as well, because I imagine athletics is pretty big there too. All of them would be generally focused, and probably, I don't know, as a guess, total guesstimate, probably around 80%, maybe more, of kids growing up play football and something else, perhaps, but generally concentrating on football when they're playing sports or they've got free time. They'll do play football. And I don't know, I think in other countries, when that is spread across other types of football codes and other sports, maybe you've got summer or winter sports and that sort of thing, it takes away. I mean, I guess the one that's easily visual, I guess, to a lot of people, like when you've got countries like the USA, where they've got the American football, they've got the baseball, they've got the ice hockey, they've got the basketball, generally pretty well known around the world for some of the people or personalities involved, at least. So yes, there's definitely, you know, a sharing of people with that, and that does affect the ability in some sports, including the Winter Games, which is what we were originally talking about. Okay. I will let you know that this is a program for you to be speaking. So if you're watching this on the replay and you're going, gee, he talks a lot, doesn't he? He really does talk a lot. Well, that's only really because no one else is here. If someone else was here, generally I would want the other person to be speaking more. That's the aim. And you should do the same thing. If you're an English language learner and you have classes, I think it would be good to try, if you have the chance to choose a class or the school that you go to, pop into some of the lessons and see what they're doing. Now, it can't be for every lesson necessarily, but I think generally you should be aiming to be speaking around 50+% of the time in the class, if it's with the teacher or with other students or whatever. Well, so speaking or writing, I guess it's fair to say that it could be one or the other, but production. So it's good to get the input. So yes, you need to practice listening, and you do that anyway. If you're speaking with another person, you're having a conversation generally. So to do listening and also to do reading and that sort of stuff. But a lot of reading as well is good to do outside of classroom hours for a lot of things. That's a good thing. It's good to read. I think certainly good to read, and good to practice reading to yourself, getting the words, but also reading aloud can be a good activity. It's a bit weird. It's weird in the way, like, this is where I'm speaking to myself here. So if you're reading to yourself, it can be a strange sort of sensation. But you can record yourself. You record yourself on a voice recorder. It can be good for you to just to see, well, what you sound like, which is always a bit weird anyway, but then just to hear how you express things and that sort of thing. Not all of us, have particularly lively voices, and certainly there are some people who bounce all around with their voices and very expressive, but that doesn't necessarily have to be the case. But you can choose the words that you stress, and you can speak in your own way, of course, but you're using different techniques and styles to emphasize certain things. So you can use your stresses and your pauses, and even if you're more softly spoken, they can also present a different challenge to people who are listening. So that forcing them to listen, if they want to get the message. Of course, if they don't want to get the message, that's another question. So there we are. So just a reminder, this is Have a Tea with me. We are here for English language learners. We are here to practice speaking. Practice speaking, practice conversational skills, talking about different topics, talking about life, talking about what's happening in the world, talking about work, study, the shops, what you ate for breakfast or dinner, what you're going to see tomorrow, what you're doing on the weekend, what your plans are for the rest of the year, what your hopes are, all different sorts of things. That's what we're here to do, is here to chat. So we do invite you, and hopefully you can come on sometime. As I mentioned before as well, if this time that you hear us, if this is not a good time for you, you can always send us an email to this email address, chatonlessonjigsaw@gmail.com, and with that, you can see if you can arrange a time. So tell us a bit about you, like where you're from, what you want to talk about and what you want to practice. What time zone you're in, of course, is important as well. And also what times and what days you're available or looking for a class, and see if we can arrange another time. All right, I'm going to pause for a little bit, and I will be back momentarily. Don't go anywhere. In fact, I'm going to leave a little message there. That might do well. So we're going to say, be right back. So don't go anywhere. I'm going to take a quick pause, refill my drink, and I'll be back. See you soon. So I'm back. Hello. Tea has been refilled. Lovely and warm. It's interesting. It's really warm outside, but this little corner that I'm in is, well, it's not cold, but cooler for light and all that sort of stuff. And so I'm wearing like a little jacket, and the tea is keeping my hands warm. That's nice. This is Lesson Jigsaw. This is Have a Tea with me. If you would like to practice your English language speaking, come through, have a chat with us. Have a chat with us. There's a link in the comments. We welcome you to click on that and come and have a chat. Speak about whatever you would like to have a chat about. Of course, we try and be respectful, but that's just a normal thing in general. But certainly come on through, have a chat. Every day at 12 o'clock Universal Time. 12 o'clock Universal Time. I'm not sure what time that is in your part of the world. What is that time in your part of the world? Let me know in the comments. I would like to know what time zone you're in. It's hard to know if it's a convenient time or an inconvenient time. But certainly, certainly, it's something to consider. That maybe you're just like getting out of bed and it's like bleary-eyed, and you're thinking, I can't be speaking English now. I need to get up. Or maybe it's the middle of your working day. You're going, I can't speak now. I've got I have meetings to attend to. I've got customers to look after. I can't talk now. Or maybe it's the evening and you're going, I'm going to take that be right back away because I'm back. Or maybe it's evening, you go, I've been working so hard today, I've been doing so many things, or been so busy today, I can't think about English now. Maybe it could be one or all of those things. That's a possibility. It's a distinct possibility. So, but that's why I say, if you want to potentially see if there's another time that's suitable, click on the link. Well, not click on the link now. It might be too late if you're watching this on the replay. But send us an email, chatonlistenjigsaw@gmail.com. And we can see if we can find a time. I've had some emails from some people, but it's been hard to sometimes, define exactly the time. But we'll see how it goes. We can see how it goes. So yes. So what have you been doing today? What have you been doing today? Has it been a busy day or has it been a relaxed day? It's always interesting to see what different people do during the days. Some people are very, very, very busy and have very stressful work and work situations. But others are more relaxed. So it's, I don't know. It's a different, everyone's living these different lives and different worlds. So it's interesting, isn't it? It's interesting how we're all doing different things, and we're like one community. It's what it's like. I say that laughing, but I mean that in a serious way as well. So dear me. So what I might do is I'm gonna put okay. I might think of a topic. When I say think of a topic, I'm actually going to think of it myself. This is like a random topic generator. Well, it's random in the sense that I put the topics in, but it's going to select them randomly. So let's find a topic to talk about. And I'm going to talk about it since no one else is here. Oh, I tell you what, and I always wish someone else was here for something like this, because books, I find it, I don't know, maybe it's not a good thing, but I don't know. Some books are sometimes like movies to me. I start reading a book sometimes and I'm like, I don't know, not the best. It's hard. Maybe I'm too picky with my movies and with my books. But some books are good. I think the thing is, if there's something that's really good, it's really, really good. This is the thing. And I think it's certainly a good thing to get in a habit of reading books. I certainly like that. I have to say I prefer shorter books to longer books. It's because I like short stories. It's the same, I have to say, it's the same with jokes. If I'm going to see a comedian, I prefer the comedians that have one-liners rather than comedians that have these big stories about, whatever. And then at the end, boom, there's a punchline. So it goes for like 1, 2, 3, maybe even more minutes. And then maybe there's like a couple jokes like in between, but then it comes up to a punchline. I don't know. That's not my favorite. Ah, there we go. That's better. All right. All right. I did get ink on my fingers, so I'm a bit inky today. But yeah, so I prefer the comedians that have one line jokes. So it's just sort of like boom, 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 with all the funny jokes. And for me, it's sort of similar with books. I certainly prefer books that are shorter or to the point, or if could even be like a series, but in mini stories instead of the one story sort of spread out. Now I know you can argue and say, well, come on, that's just a chapter. You could just use the chapter as the book, and yes, that's true. You could look at it that way, but I don't. I look at huge books as sometimes daunting. So I certainly prefer to read. So maybe it's a mental thing, where it's like what feels like the investment, or the potential investment that I'm giving to read that book. Whereas if it's a smaller book, mentally the investment feels like if it's not good, it's that the investment was only small. And I guess I could do the same thing, of course, with bigger books, larger books. But yeah, that's the way it is, I guess. But in terms of books in general, I'm not great with stories and fantasy and that sort of thing. I prefer reading things like biographies, autobiographies, reading stories about history and that sort of thing. Certainly for me, they're much more engaging than a fantasy novel for me. I know lots of people do love the fantasy genres and that sort of thing, and they're of course very, very popular and certainly very good imaginations. But certainly for me, I prefer realistic books. But let's have a look at another topic. So if you would like to have a chat on here, click on the link. It's a free chat. It's for English language learners. We're here to have conversations with you. The program is called Have a Tea with Me. I am having a tea. This is a rose and berry. This really come through well. A rose and berry type of tea, very flavoursome. I hope you're able to sit back and enjoy something as well. And certainly if you're an English language learner, you would like to practice speaking some English, practice your conversation skills, all you need to do is to click on that link in the comments in the chat, and we can chat. That's what it's all about. We're here for you. We're here to have a chat with you. And in the meantime, I'm chatting with myself as we need to do. Well, otherwise we'll be in silence, and I don't know. I can do that sort of like in real life, but here it's sort of a bit weird just sitting here in silence. So I'm in the awkward silence. I'm bridging that awkward silence by talking. And in this case, the topic that rolled up is goals. Now, I'm going to cheat here. I'm going to cheat because I guess normally when you talk about the topic of goals, you talk about aims and objectives and that sort of thing. But I'm going to cheat. And I'm going to talk about goals for football. But I'm not going to talk about like a soccer sort of football. I'm going to talk about Australian rules football. And I remember I'll be like about 25 years ago or something now. I'm a Sydney Swan supporter, and there was a guy called Robbie Armett. And it's in Australian rules football, it's a big sort of oval field. And he got the ball about 3/4 from his goal line. 3/4 of the way away. And he got the ball, and he was quick, really, really fast. And he, in it's sort of like basketball, you have to bounce the ball every so often. And so he was running, bouncing the ball, running, bouncing the ball, running, bouncing the ball. He's like sort of ducking and weaving, getting around a few people. And then he sort of got to the end, and then boom, kicked the ball. And wow, what a goal. What a goal. And it was a fantastic goal. Running, and then hitting the ball on the spot, on target, getting through. After that big run, because running for about, I'm not sure, probably like a 10, 12 seconds maybe, as a sort of to flash my memory. But I think, yeah, like, and I imagine if you try and do that, try and run for like 10, 12 seconds, and then aim at a target, like kick a ball, like drop the ball, kick it with your foot, and try and get it onto a target. I imagine that's pretty difficult, especially with the types of like the footballs where they're sort of like oddly shaped, not like a round ball. So it was, it's a very good goal. So I'm cheating there and saying that's my favorite goal. And I guess cheating is allowed because it fits into the context, because it says goals, and goals can be whatever you want it to be, I guess. So just a reminder, this is Lesson Jigsaw. That's the name of the channel. And this program is called Have a Tea with Me. This is an open chat, an open conversation where we invite you to come and speak English, come and have a conversation, all that sort of stuff. And we want you to come and practice your English speaking skills, to feel more confident with English, to and I guess the idea is you can practice whatever you would like to practice. So maybe you're thinking, I want to practice just like introducing myself to people. I want to sort of look good, like give a good first impression when I meet people, or meet new people particularly. Or I have a presentation and I need to practice what I'm going to say to present to people, or I need to speak to people and give them bad news sometimes. So I need to practice how to give them bad news and that sort of thing. Or it could just be, I want to sit down and practice just talking to people, because I like having a cup of coffee with some friends that I know or that I work with, and I want to sit down and talk to them more and feel more confident when I speak to them. All of those sorts of things is why we are here, basically to help you try and be more confident. So all you need to do is click on the link, and you can join us here. Simple as that. Simple as that. There is no cost. Free, I guess, is another way to say that. Well, when I say no cost, but there's a cost, of course, because it's not just money with cost. There is a cost with time and energy and effort. So you would need to put a bit of effort in. That is certainly true. And that's, I guess, with anything, it's the what's the expression? It's like you get what you give, I guess. I'm not sure if that's just from a song or if that's the actual expression, but it's certainly the sentiment is the same. So yeah, you get what you give. You know, if you try something, and the endeavor that you have, the effort that you have, maybe not always at the same time, maybe not always at the same time. But if you make an effort and try, many times it will pay you back. So that's why we're here. We're here to practice English, practice conversations, practice speaking. We are here every day, Monday to Friday, that is, every day, Monday to Friday, at 12 o'clock Universal Time to practice speaking. So if you would like to to come on through and practice, be my guest. Literally, be my guest. I guess that is the classic invitation, isn't it? Even when you think of it in terms of the raw sense, because it's a common expression, you just say it, be my guest. Come on, no problem. But when you think about it, maybe in history, be my guest. So maybe it could have been the old days where, I know if this is just in stories, this is actually true, like when people would go, like enter a town and they knock on the door and they look for a place to stay for the night or something. I don't know if that's a real thing that used to happen a lot or only in movies. But certainly the person could definitely say, be my guest. Be my guest. That's a nice thing. That's a nice thing to say, certainly. Well, okay. So it is Thursday. It is the 17th. I was going to say 12th. It is the 17th of February. It is the year 2022. I hope you're having a great 2022. I think that's about an eighth of the year finished already. Isn't that something like that? Maybe. I don't know. But it seems about that, right? I reckon. A month and a half, give or take. I think so. Hello to Sonia. Glad you could join us today, Sonia. I'm fantastic today. How are you? I'm having a beautiful sort of rose red berry flavored tea today. Very flavoursome, very delicious. It's very nice, very nice. How's it all going with you, Sonia? What's happening in your world? What's happening? I know this music is a bit too chilled. It's 9:37 a.m. in Argentina. Sunny day. It's the same where I am. Sunny day is a good day. Well, I guess it depends. Sunny is good if you can enjoy it. I guess the worst thing, I used to have this sometimes, where you have a sunny day during the week, and like when you're working, and then on the weekend, when you want to go out and do stuff, it starts to rain. I used to get that a lot. I used to get that when I was living in London. I know they talk about London weather and stuff, but a lot of the times during the daytime, it was okay. It was like nice days. But then the weekend, bit hit and miss. Good to know you're fine and all good. Okay, everything is okay. That's good news. Certainly good news. Very good news. You had a coffee. You finished it. Coffee's gone. I wonder if in Argentina, is Argentina famous for coffee? I'm not sure. I imagine Colombia would be famous for coffee. But I'm not sure if Argentina is famous for coffee. What I wonder is, when people in Argentina have their coffees, is it a quick experience or is it something that goes for a long time? Certainly in Australia, when people have a coffee, it's more of an event, a socializing sort of thing. And so like you go and you sit down somewhere and you order, you have the coffee, and it's like, I don't know, you could, well, depending on if you're in a rush, but it could quite often be, 20, 30, 40 minutes, even longer. And the, but then if you, I don't know, I haven't actually seen this myself, but I believe in places like Italy, where it's like they get their espressos, and obviously espressos, the quantity is not great anyway. When I say not great, it's not a huge amount. That's probably great, but not huge. That's probably a better way to say. And then it's like they have it and they down it, and the whole experience could be over within a minute, like from entry to exit. And I don't know, I don't know. I'm not sure if I would enjoy that sort of style of having coffee. But maybe that's just from what I've seen on some of the programs. They exaggerate what it is. Maybe in reality, some people go in quickly, but most people hang about the coffee shop and that sort of thing. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe. 36 degrees. Wow. Okay. That is certainly summer weather. But then again, being in the southern hemisphere, you'd sort of want that sort of weather around now. That's sort of normal, I would imagine. There, I don't know. I'm not sure if Buenos Aires has beaches. I'm not sure. Gee, that's not good, is it? Let me see. Buenos Aires, of course it's got coast. Does it have beaches? It's hard to tell. I have to say it's hard to tell. If I just look at Google Maps, it's hard to tell if there are actually beaches. There's definitely, it looks like, docks and coastline and that sort of thing, like for the ships to come in. Okay, it does look like there's certainly places where they're called beaches, but the color that they have on Google Maps is more green, whereas I expect more sort of yellow, sandy color. But maybe that's not a fair representation. I should probably change the image. Oh, it's hard to tell if it's sandy beaches. Maybe you can tell me, Sonia, are there sandy beaches in Buenos Aires? That's interesting. I know there's a few places. I've seen in the UK a few places where they have beaches, but they're not sandy beaches. They have beaches where it's rocks and beaches where, I don't know, it's really, you think they're more like rivers in terms of like the edge and the bank. But in fact, it's the sea there. It's more sort of like muddy, I guess, is the idea. But yes, well, that's interesting. That is interesting. It's always fascinating learning about different places, and I find that a remarkable thing. Very nice thing to do. So a reminder, this is Have a Tea with Me. This is an open English class, conversation class, which is why I'm talking. If you wish to join in and have a chat, you can click on the link in the comments and come on through to the studio and we can chat. It is what we're here for. It's live, it's happening now, and you are welcome to join. We'll see how long we stay for and how long, or if anyone wants to come on live. So where I am, it's around about lunchtime, coming up to lunchtime. There's always a debate about what time is the best time to eat and that sort of thing. That's a different thing in different countries, isn't it? The time that they have meals, and not just the cultural time of having meals, but also with different professions, what times they can have meals. Certainly, like obviously in different offices, if you have customer service, some places, I know some places where they close all the shop and then it's closed during sort of lunchtime hours, and other places where they sort of roster the lunchtime hours. So one person goes at, 11 o'clock, another person goes at 12, another person goes at 1, and that sort of thing. So there's always people to cover the shop. I guess it depends what type of customer service they want from the shop and what they can afford and that sort of thing. But yeah, and then I remember as well being as a teacher in some countries, lunchtime hours are the hours to give the classes. So generally you have to eat, say, at 11 o'clock or at something like 3 o'clock. And so there's other hours in between are for classroom time. So it's a little bit different. And everywhere you need to, I guess, adapt. It's a different situation wherever you are. So to have a coffee in your country, Sonia, could be an opportunity to get relaxation or get relaxed alone or with a friend, or a quick routine. Okay. Well, that's a bit of everything then, isn't it? So that could be relaxing by yourself, relaxing with a friend, having a conversation, or just thinking about nothing, or going in very quickly. So I think it's covered all the possible bases pretty much, really. So, which I think is probably fairly true in most places, depending on where they are. I imagine, even though I gave that example with Italy, I would imagine a lot of business people might go to the cafe or somewhere just as a way to get away from the office, and the same for people if they're working at home or whatever, or studying perhaps. It's a way to have like a different environment, to sort of shift the focus for a little bit and just to refresh, I guess, is a word. To sort of, in computer terms, clear the cache of what's in the memory, get some fresh air outside maybe, and sit down, have a coffee or a tea or whatever it may be. But yes, very nice, very nice. So Sonia, I'm interested. What do you do, Sonia? Are you working, or do you study, or are you at home, or what do you do? What do you do? I might see if I can change the music. Well, that's even slower. Okay. See how this goes. It's a little bit different. Hello, if you're just joining us, my name is Chris. This is Have a Tea with Me. This is said tea, a rose and red berry type of tea it is today. Have a Tea with Me. This is an opportunity for English language learners to practice speaking English, practice their conversational skills. There is a link in the comments in the chat. If you click on that, you can have a chat. You can come on through and talk about whatever you want to talk about. It's pretty open. We just try and stay respectful, like a normal conversation, and we just chat about whatever you like to chat about. If you're just looking for a general conversation, or if you want to practice anything in particular, it's just an opportunity to practice, and you can't ask for much more than opportunities, really, because opportunities. I'm sure there's expressions about opportunities and sayings, but I think it's a matter of getting opportunities. Two things, isn't it? It's getting the opportunities and then using the opportunities. So it's the two sides of it, getting and using the opportunities. enjoying the opportunity, I guess, is a way we could say it as well. Because maybe the opportunities aren't there all the time as well. That's also the other thing. But certainly, it's a matter of taking advantage of the opportunities and doing what we can, with those opportunities. Absolutely. So yes, this is an opportunity to practice English, practice speaking English, having conversations in English. And as you see scrolling across the bottom, if this time is not particularly good for you, you're thinking, oh, I like to have a chat, but this time I'm not in a position, or it's too noisy where I am, I can't really hear very well, or something like that. If you send us an email, chatonlessonjigsaw@gmail.com, we can see if we can find a time. Let us know, like where you are, what you want to talk about, and your time zone, and obviously like days and times when you're available in general, and we can see if we can find a time to have a live stream and conversation class when is good for you. When it's good for you. So there you go. That's another opportunity. That as well, really, is an opportunity to practice writing, and that's the other side. That's what we're all about. I repeat this every time because I do think it is so important that if your desire, if your wish is to learn English, and that's a vague thing to say anyway, to learn English, but to be able to feel confident and capable with using English sufficiently to do what you need to do, to have the conversations you need to have the meetings, and to conduct things the way that you need to sufficiently. There's no getting around practicing speaking and writing. Those are the things you've got to do, and you can only do them really with effort. So you have to put the effort in to do that. It's an active activity, whereas listening is fairly, well, you can be an active listener, of course, but you can also just sort of listen to something and just sort of fade out, so to speak. And with reading, I guess it depends how you read and what type of a reader you are. You can sort of focus in and focus out and that sort of thing. Because I guess you can take notes and that sort of thing as well. But certainly they're more passive in a general sense. Okay, fantastic, Sonia. So a housewife and a student of English. Excellent. That is very good. Lots of admiration for that. Lots and lots of admiration for that. So I wondered, do you have kids, or, because I imagine if you've got kids, it's a very, very busy day then. So there's a lot of things to do. Looking after the kids and tending to them, making sure everything's okay and all that sort of thing. Yes. And then certainly, because it's I don't have kids myself, but I have seen many people with kids and watched and had them surrounded, if you like. But you can certainly see the non-stop life when people have kids. It's a completely different world. So Yes, certainly, certainly. And it's a nice thing that you're studying English as well, Sonia. What do you do to study English? Are you mainly like just watching things on YouTube and that sort of thing and looking online, or do you go to classes and that sort of thing? And how are they? How are those activities for you when you're studying? I consider that it's work that never ends. Absolutely. Absolutely. It never ends. Well, and I guess the nice thing is that it's not work if people show appreciation. I guess that's the one perspective to have. There can always be work and chores, things that we don't really like to do, but certainly if you know other people are appreciating, maybe sometimes not openly, maybe a bit more sort of relaxed appreciation, let's say, sometimes. Some people don't always express their appreciation in the best ways, but it's if you can see people appreciate, I certainly think it makes a lot of things easier to do. Absolutely. All right. So you attend English classes. Nice. And so let me know how are the classes? What are they like? Do you talk a lot in the classes? Do you find you're doing a lot of production, a lot of speaking, a lot of writing? Or are the classes more, how could we say, like exercises from the book where you're just like filling in sentences and those sort of things? It's always interesting. I mean, every teacher is different, but certainly in terms of personality, every teacher is different. The way it mixes with the materials that they use. I always think, the best thing is, there's no method to learning English that is superior over another one. And there's no particular school necessarily that's better than another one. It's the one that gels with you, the one that you can connect to. So if there's a teacher you can connect to, or you just feel comfortable in a particular environment, or the group perhaps that you're with, and all those sort of things. And sometimes maybe the pace of learning isn't exactly what you want, but it's always hard to tell when you're inside. But if you're enjoying the process of learning, if you're enjoying the activities that you're doing, you find them rewarding, I think that's the way to go. Always try new things and different things and all that sort of stuff, of course. But as long as you're finding the activities and the classes that you're doing enjoyable, that's a really good thing. I think that's, in a lot of ways, that's the number one priority. You don't want, the worst thing is if something happens and or you're doing stuff and it's like, and that turns you off learning the language or whatever the activity is. So certainly if it's something that's encouraging, that's a nice thing. You have exercises and speaking activities. Okay. Well, I guess exercises can be everything, because I guess it depends what the exercises are. because everything we do is an exercise effectively in the class. But it is true. But I get the sense that you're enjoying the classes that you're attending. So that's a good thing. That is a good thing. Certainly, I like to see that you're doing speaking activities. I think that's very important. That's my thing. That's the thing that I really do, as you would have noticed. I really do try and promote people to produce, to speak, and to write. Whenever there's a test and it's just multiple choice and choosing like a conjugation or something, it's just, well, I mean, it can be useful for some things, but I just think to actually test someone's ability, it doesn't really do too much. I always think the best tests are sit down, have a chat with the person, and then ask them to write something about whatever it is. You can direct the writing to a particular thing, but get them to write. And if you want to know if they can use different verb structures and times and all that sort of stuff, just tell them. I just want to see how good you are with English, and I want to see if you can use all different sorts of verb tenses. And then you just get them to write. So write something up to, I don't know, 500 words. Tell me a story. Tell me about you, or tell me about something that you know about. That's the real way to test. You're not, and I even think, like, for those sort of things, you can use dictionaries and all that sort of stuff. I don't think it should be a memory test necessarily, because in the real world, some things are a memory test, but life in general is not a memory test. So I don't think, and to be honest, I use dictionaries all the time. I forget the spellings of words and I have to check, and that's just, some people are good at remembering things, other people not. And that's not the test. The test is more that you have the ability to go and find the answer. That's the test. That's what you want the ability to do, and to know, oh, okay, I don't want that thing, I want the other thing. Yeah? To be able to select the correct answer, not from 4 answers that are given to you, but from everything, you're able to pin down what you want to say. Okay, so you have problems with your writing. You need to increase the vocabulary and improve the grammar. Okay, interesting. I think it is important to, so even though I promote reading and writing, promote writing and speaking, so producing, I do think obviously you need to gain extra vocabulary, and part of the way of doing that is by reading, reading and listening to things. And I think a good way to do things is when you write something. I mean, it's, in some ways it can be a little bit hard and boring to do, because I know a lot of students that go, oh, I don't want to do that again and again. But really, repetition is important. And if you look at a class anyway, it's repetition for a lot of things, just with slightly different changes. Like movies, I would suggest. A lot of movies are the same movies. They just change the names of the characters and the location. But a lot of the movies are very similar. But I think if you write something, do something like try and find alternative ways of writing the same thing. So look for synonyms and antonyms. So do this, like write, for example, write a story, and then see if you can write the same story but using slightly different words. See if you can write the story in the opposite way. So say, for example, if you're writing about a story and there's a person, I don't know, on the beach in the summer, change it to they're in the winter and maybe they're wearing different clothes and that sort of stuff and they're feeling a little bit different. So instead of it was steaming hot, it was freezing cold or something like that. And try and say it in the opposite way. That sort of thing. You know, those sort of things where you just try and find little tweaks. I think they're like little steps that you can progress. You have to actively look for that alternative vocabulary and use that. But I think what I would try and stay away from, generally, it looks nice and it looks pretty and awesome when you get those lists of like 50 phrasal verbs or 100 words for things in the home or whatever. Like those lists look good, and sometimes you get like with a translation or one example or something, and it's like, okay, but you're not going to use them. And even if you did try and use them, it's not really in a realistic way. I've had things where it's like you give some examples to a student, and then they come back and then they just use like 3 sentences where they try and use like, 8 different expressions or something. I was like, yeah, okay. But really, we'll sort of spread them out a little bit more. To have so many expressions in a small space is possible, but unusual, a little bit unusual. So I think like if you were learning, so like say you were writing something and then you said, okay, I'm going to try and write a different way. And then you found 4 words, let's say 4 words every day that you could use and incorporate, and you started to use them regularly, and you would like use them in different situations. It could be something like using them past, present, future, or using them maybe as a verb or as a noun or whatever it may be. But if you say, for example, stick to 4 words, and you did that every day, think at the end of the year, the amount of words that you would have is phenomenal, and you're actually using those words, as opposed to having lists of thousands of words that you have to sort of like scan through each time. If you're using them, I think is a much better thing. And Sonia, congratulations. I'm not sure, I only generally hear correct grammar and that sort of thing if there is if there's a problem with the meaning. So if the message that you're trying to give to me, if I can pretty much tell, or otherwise I would check. But if I can tell that what you're trying to say is different from the words you've actually used. So I don't necessarily correct grammar too much if the message is getting across and it's not too dramatic. Because these days as well, like if you watch the way people write and type and that sort of stuff today, I understand this is like a chat sort of thing, so people don't use spell check and that sort of thing, whereas if you're writing, you could use a spell checker and all that sort of stuff. But let me give you a little congratulations because you fixed an error that I noticed from the last time you were chatting in here. I'm not sure if you noticed the error. This is the thing, because maybe it's just a typo from the last one, or if it's something you actually noticed. But from when I see the way you've written here, I think it's something you know already. So it could have just been a typo. Because I remember the last class you said something like, "Thank you for your advices." And of course, in English, that technically, advice is uncountable. So we can't have advices, we just have advice. And so in this particular case, this is I guess the grammatically correct way of saying it. I will take your advice. So that's very good. Well done. All right, Sonia, I'm going to head off. And if anyone else is watching the replay later, I'm going to head off. Just a reminder, we are here every day, Monday to Friday at 12 o'clock Universal Time. And you are welcome to join us. There'll be a different link in every session where you can join us for a chat. If you click on that link, you can come through and speak, and we can have a conversation. It's an open class for all to join. And also, like I've mentioned before, if now's not a good time, or you want to, or there are other times that are better, send us an email, chatonlessonjigsaw@gmail.com. If you send us an email there, we can see if we can find a time to do a live stream at a more convenient time for you, and it's mutually agreeable for both of us. Okay, so we're going to leave it there for today. Thank you for participating. Thank you very much, Sonia. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. Hopefully it's not as hot as yesterday. Well, depends if you want it that hot every day, I guess. But yes, I hope it's a pleasant day, nevertheless. And I will see you, because today is Thursday, I will see you tomorrow at 12 o'clock Universal Time. Don't forget to, what's that called? To follow, the word. Don't forget to follow if you're watching on Facebook, or if you're on YouTube, you can subscribe to the YouTube channel. Take care, have a great rest of the day, and I will see you next time. Thank you.